Welcome to episode 8 of post-processing. The intent of this video is to understand how effects are applied to sounds and to evolve our sound even further out of a synthesizer or sample. Today's course overview will be post-processing concepts, how to glue two sounds together and make it sound cohesive, and then ultimately creating and saving our post-processing so we can develop signature taste. All right, let's do some post-processing and understand the concept of it. So we're working with the same preset that I made in the previous video. Not bad, but we can make it better. And we're going to understand how post-processing works. So remember, this effects page is processing within the synthesizer. Post-processing is everything after the synthesizer. And the way that this lane down here works, this post-processing lane, is it works from left to right, just like how in Serum, it works from front to back. So your sound starts here, it moves over here, I guess left to right into the filter, and then through this page, and then it comes out of Serum and moves left to right through all of these effects. So what I'm going to do is open up this EQ8, is the sound coming out of Serum, because these two effects aren't doing anything. And every effect that I throw in here, I'm going to put between the EQ8s. So this will be the before synth sound, and this will be the effect after sound. So as you can see, I have a ton of effects favorited. Ableton already has a ton of Ableton effects that come with, and you can download effects and create effects. It's limitless. And I'm not going to go over every effect because that's insane. You need to get experience with these and just experiment with each one. I recommend just going through the audio effects folders with a sound that you enjoy and just slapping one on one after the other and be like, okay, this adds distortion, this doesn't, this is a tool, this is not an effect, because some are tools and some are effects. So yeah, let's get into this. When I listen to this sound, I already have like the experience to know that a phaser will sound good with that. So I'm going to throw this on, and I'm not going to explain all of the parameters of what I'm doing. I'm just going to like do level head topics just to show you why I'm doing it and how it's changing the sound. So feedback on the phaser is going to like add more poles to it. These are called poles. It adds resonance. I'm going to turn down the amount to stop it from moving. Dragging the center to get different tonalities. And I'll drag the dry wet to blend it. Okay, let's do that. The next thing we'll do, a disperser afterwards. This is a third-party plugin. If it'll load, oh my gosh, I don't know why it's taking so long. Anyways, here it is. Essentially what this is a delay. So when I change the frequency here, this ramp is like a weird delay that kind of just makes things bubbly and watery. You see when I move it, it's getting different effects. We'll just do that for now. The next thing that I'm feeling, overdrive. Overdrive is some distortion. Let me go ahead and turn all this down so it doesn't blast your ears right away. Okay, so what now I'm going to do is actually create a audio effect rack, and that's going to essentially create two instances of the sound. So when I manipulate this overdrive, I'm finding a distortion level that I like. Like that's not bad, but however, I lost all my subs. So to bring it back, I click on that effect, I do Command G, it creates a group, just like how you can create groups here in the arrangement view. And then now that this effect is grouped, I click on this last icon, which opens up the chains. So if I right click in this gray area, I can create a new chain. I've now just duplicated the sound. This first one is the overdrive. We call this the wet layer because that's going to be the wet effect. And this bottom one is the dry. This is the original sound. So if I solo this chain, we have the original sound. If I solo the wet, I get the distortion. And what I'm going to do is actually throw an EQ8 after the distortion and just cut out all of the low end information. Shaping it like that, so I just have this crunchy layer, and when I play both at the same time. Okay, now what I'm going to do is turn the volume all the way out of the wet and turn it up and to mix it in. Okay, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and collapse all of these to save some space. What else is there? Let's throw a saturator on, which is another distortion effect. I'll switch it from analog to soft sine and no clip to soft clip. And that's just kind of smashing everything into this little soft clip, kind of rounding everything out. And the last thing I will do is add another audio effect rack to add some width. Click and drag this on. And as you can see, the dry layer, original sound. This wet layer is a Serum Effects. So this is the Serum Effects page. None of this oscillator stuff on the front page will work in Serum Effects because it's just the effects page, and I only have the chorus turned on for a width layer. Say it like that, and then I will turn this EQ3 on, which is just a very dumbed down version of an EQ8. You can only control the lows, mids, and highs with this region, like very abruptly, as you can see, and then all together. So let's do some before and after real quick. This is no post-processing. With it on. As you can see, it's starting to come to life. And let's go ahead, duplicate this twice so I can convert it to audio and show you. Turn this off, leave this on, freeze, flatten both. All right, sorry for the jump cut again. I totally screwed up and ruined everything, but it's all back to normal. So this is the sound with the post-processing on, right? And that is like pretty much our final product. And what I did is I freeze and flattened all of the evolutions of this sound. So what we're hearing right here, let me collapse all of these for visual sake. What we're hearing right here is just the front page of Serum, none of that flavor added. It's a sound, but it's just not good. And then with the effects page on Serum, all right, yeah, we got something coming to life. And then when it's post-processed, so you can see the evolution of the sound here. And this is how we can get sounds to become full and like complete our mix by understanding how to add effects properly and having a intent with the sound by picking a good wavetable, modulating it with a bunch of LFOs properly on good effects, and just having them in the right order. These are like things that you'll pick up over time. Everyone does these does this differently, and then throwing your post-processing on over time, watching the sound and listening to the sound as it evolves. All right, now I'm going to show you how to glue some sounds together, more specifically that sub that we made earlier in the sub synthesis video, if you remember this guy. Let's say we want to use that for the sub of this sound. Now, this is going to be really tricky to do because, one, this sound has pitch modulation with this thing, and it's just not going to work because this is moving in pitch, but our sub won't. I'm going to show you a way to get it to pair nicely, but it's very hard to get a sound like this that is very chunky and vocally and is paired well with the sub. If you cut this out and try to pair it with another sub, it just doesn't always work. So do keep that in mind with these sounds. That is a very nice tip to know. If you're working with sounds like this, you're better off just keeping the sub and Serum, even though it's extremely dirty and you're not like isolating it and you can't manipulate it by itself. It's still okay because it works, right? So let's say that we do want to replace it with our own individual sub, and you can do this with any sound. I just wanted to preface it's probably not going to work well with this one, but let's get into it. The first thing we're going to do is low cut this bass that we made up to like, I don't know, 150 hertz, play it. So there's no sub right now. Okay, cool. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to save this LFO shape by clicking this folder, save shape. Let's call it YouTube shape version 1.1. Save. Cool. Let's go to our sub. Ooh, actually, I want to save one more shape out of here. Sorry. I'm going to save this guy. Save shape. YouTube pitch. Now the YouTube shape pitch, version 1.1. All right. And you can probably guess what I'm probably going to do, and that is upload those shapes to this guy. Go back to the folder, user. Oh, where'd they go? I think I have to make a new instance of Serum for it to come up. Sometimes when you add new folders, presets and stuff, you have to make a new instance of Serum so it will then recognize it. Let's see if it did. Okay, so yeah, now it's here. Yeah, this one. And then I want the sub to be a little bit fatter than the actual bass note itself. So I'm just gonna like round these out nice and big. And we are on the wrong guy. Why does it sound like that? Oh, I'm such a fool. This isn't modulating this. Okay, there we go. And then I got to change this to the pitch. So shape pitch. And this was on a bar. And this was a quarter note. As you can see, it's there. And if we play both at the same time, let's group both of these and throw an EQ8 on to visualize. Where you at? Oh, that's an EQ3. I don't need your Baby Town Frolics. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Why isn't it playing now? Because I didn't group the bass. Man, I'm being so sloppy. I apologize for that. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Now let's play both at the same time. See that? The only difference is that this sub, this is not on envelope and it needs to be. Envelope means that it just plays one time when you press the key. In order for it to get to play again, you have to play a new note. All right, so yeah, as you can see, our sub is here. Let me go ahead and silence this. There's our sub. Now, the problem with this is that you can clearly tell it's two individual sounds. The sub isn't pairing well with the bass and vice versa. So that's why we're getting into this glue section. This is part of the lesson of gluing. And honestly, the quickest, fastest way and the best way is with OTT, X for OTT like this. And I'm just gonna drive the downward knob down to compress it heavily. I'm gonna lower this. Why is it doing that? I'll increase the time and then lower the bass. I'm lowering the volume of the bass because it's too loud compared to the sub. So we'll do something like that. And then we can take it a step further. Gluing sounds doesn't always just mean using compressors. The most common effects to glue sounds are like OTTs, saturators with soft clipping because it smashes everything like into a ceiling so that they're becoming the same level. Damn, we're pretty close there. Let's try a hard clip. I'm gonna take the dry wet all the way down because this is super aggressive. And as I turn this up, it's probably gonna get super loud. Too much right now. Let's go back to the soft sign. That wasn't too bad. And what else can we do? Let's add another phaser. Screw it, we'll put it before everything. Turn this around. I'm gonna duplicate this EQ, put it on the after so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, sweet. Let's do a before and after. Let me go ahead and paste this up here. So let me bring back this sub, original volume. I'm gonna duplicate this one more time, keep U, and then we'll freeze and flatten the OG thing that we made. So remember, that's its own individual sub and sound out of Serum. And then what we'll do is we will resample to this color everything that we just made. Make sure there's no post-processing on. Okay, let's go. Sounds like there's a reverb on here for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, you want to know why? It's coming out of here. Remember when I said I don't like putting reverb on sounds? This is why, because when you go to group process, you put OTT on it. OTT is making this reverb ring out uncomfortably, so I'm just gonna turn that off. I don't want it. And then I'm just gonna resample this again. All right, sweet. Okay, so let's look at these before and after examples, these visuals. This is regular Serum sound with its own sub, and then this is the sub that we made paired with the bass that's just been low cut, right? And we glued it together with these effects, a phaser, an OTT, and a saturator. You can glue a sound with any effect chain, really. Just know that like OTT and saturator are the best. And once you start incorporating like other effects like a phaser, a distortion, maybe a delay and stuff like that, you start to warp both of those sounds together because it's on the group. Understand that all of this processing is group processing, and this is what we're going to label glue. Group processing, right? And that's how you combine sounds and glue them together and make them sound whole and complete. So like, let's do original Serum sound, no effects. Like, yeah, get familiar with that guy, huh? You like that? You like that? Yeah, well, he went to the gym for 6+ years and took trend. And he's freaking huge now. So not obviously the cleanest sound, but like we can still polish it up with more post-processing. Let me throw on that chorus width effect, this rack that I made. I feel like it needs more width. Put all this back. Let me listen to this. I put all that back down, sorry. I shouldn't fine-tune this and waste time. Now let's listen. Yeah, damn. So yeah, that's actually coming out way better. Again, before, after. And that's because we glued the sounds together, and I think I beat that dead horse. But hey, why do we do this? Why is this important to glue sounds? One, you're not always just going to be doing this in MIDI. Sometimes you have multiple audio files together within audio tracks, obviously. So if I made audio tracks and like this is a bass, this is a bass, this is a bass, I would group those, glue them together within that group like I just showed you to make one whole big complete sound. Now, what did I want to go over? One more thing on glue. The reason that this is super clutch is because now I can modulate the sub separately from the bass, and I can add effects to this sub separate from the bass, which is really, 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 really cool. Because like if I wanted more white noise, let me go ahead, look for this erosion effect. Let me throw this on, solo the sub, listen. And now I can put it all together. So we had that more white noise, whereas before, I really couldn't do that. Like if I went back to Serum and I tried increasing this noise, all of that noise is going to get fed through possibly the filter. If it is, all of these effects and the post-processing chain, and a delicate white noise like that with that much effect, it's going to ruin the sound. So yeah, this is super clutch. I'm glad we made this. This is a really nice example. I'm getting excited. Yeah, that's glue. Now, we're going to save all of that hard work that we've done. It really wasn't hard work, but let's save it so that we can use it for later. And this is how we start to develop signature style to our music, because you're starting to develop this machine that you made, this effect rack. You're going to continue to evolve it further if you wish. So this is why we made custom folders. So here I have a YouTube Schoolhouse Tools just to save all of the YouTube material we're working with. But for you, you could create a folder, call this Growl Rack version 1 maybe, or Growl Racks version 1, right? And then what you're going to do is highlight all of the effects by clicking the first one, holding shift, clicking the last one, and do Command G to group it, which I did right here. And then I'll click and drag that into that folder. And I already labeled it YouTube Growl Bass Rack, right? And then we will do the same for the group processing as well. You group it, you click it in, you rename it, and boom, now it's saved. And this is so clutch because whenever you're working in the future again, let's go ahead, add an audio track, search growl. You see what I'm gonna do? Let's pick something. Maybe that. Let's pick another one. I want something that's got like sub. Maybe. Okay. I don't know how well this is gonna work, but hey, experiment. Let's go to our growl bass rack, throw that processing onto these dry sounds, and let's listen. Oh, they're low cut. Let's bring back the sub. Right? Okay, so before, after. These are just pretty poor examples, but you can see how this becomes powerful because you saved all of this information, and none of this was fine-tuned. As you saw me make this in like a few minutes. You can go in later, day after day, fine-tuning these parameters, understanding these effects, understanding the placement of these effects, and how this overdrive layer may feed into this saturator layer. And if I adjust the saturator, that might directly affect the way that the overdrive is working. If I move this disperser around, the likelihood I'm going to get a different tonality is high because it's feeding into different effects before it. These are things that you will eventually start learning with your post-processing chains. And this is how we develop signature style, because you're saving these racks that you made that are signature to you because you developed it, and your first one's probably going to suck. But if you label it version 1 and then tomorrow you drag version 1 in and you fine tune it a little bit, you threw a turbo in there, you adjust the suspension, and then now it's version 1.1. And then a few months down the road, you got version 3.4, and then you're clicking and dragging this onto sounds where you just know it's going to work. And then boom, like that's how you get your style, by saving these racks that you're working with and understanding the effects. So that's that. I am actually super stoked at how today's lesson went. I didn't think that I would be able to show the concepts and prove with examples visually that they work off of one sound and one shoot. So awesome. Today we went over the concept of post-processing, which is that sound comes out of Serum on the bottom left of that of post-processing lane, and then you start throwing effects in order like A, B, C, D, and know that if you move effect D behind A, so it's now D, A, B, C, you're going to get a completely different variation of sound because you're moving how the sound feeds through different effects because you're moving the order of the effects. Hopefully that makes sense. I didn't confuse you. The next concept that we went over was how to glue sounds. So taking two sounds, putting them in a group, and then group processing together is gluing them together. And we used a phaser, an OTT, and a saturator for this example. Again, to take two sounds and smash them into one effect chain, resample it out to have a nice full sound. And the benefit to that is that you can add effects to each separate sound within that group and affect them differently. And then the last pro tip I left you with is saving that rack by highlighting all of the effects, Command G to group, rename, put it in your own customs folder with the appropriate label, and then just day after day, time after time, keep refining that rack, understanding it, maybe definitely making new racks to new sounds and renaming them with the proper labels and constantly evolving them. And I guarantee you, if you start this at the beginning, and you give yourself a year of practicing racks that you're developing yourself, I would love to see the progression of that. I would love to see your music at year 1 of understanding racks, and then year 2, show me what you're doing, because yeah, I think that would be super sick. The next video, I think we're going to get into automations, modulation, and all the stuff like that. So learning how to employ that rack a little bit better and understanding how to employ other effects to get different effects and variation changes. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.